basın mensupları,
My nation and members of the press, I greet all of you with my most heartfelt sentiments and with my deepest regards. In the cabinet meeting, we have discussed health to foreign politics to justice to energy. We had a chance to discuss many issues in great detail. Turkey has fought against the pandemic by following the developments in the world very closely and with a proactive philosophy. Towards we are nearing the end of the second year of the pandemic, and with new waves and new variants, the pandemic is exceeding the forecasts that were previously done, and it continues threatening
karşımızda durmaktadır. Bu durum gelişmiş ülkeler dahil tüm
This
devletlerin
includes
sağlık başta olmak
all
üzere
countries,
temel
including the
hizmet
developed
ve
countries,
üretim
to
altyapılarını giderek daha da zorlamaktadır.
this continues to
Kendi
threaten the
ülkelerini karalamak
infrastructures and
dışında
health
bir iş
infrastructures
bilmeyenler
of many countries,
kafalarını kaldırıp
including the
dünyaya
developed
baksalar
countries.
bu gerçeği
Certain groups
görecekler.
which only slander their
Türkiye
own
olarak
country
en büyük
should
avantajımız
look at the rest of the world so
sağlıktan
that they could
üretime
see this
kritik
fact.
her alanda
As
son
Turkey, from
19
health to
yılda
production, in
gerçekten çok
every
güçlü
critical
ve
area, we
kapsayıcı
have
bir
made a
altyapıyı
very strong
kurmamızdır.
and comprehensive
Bu sayede
infrastructure
ülkeler
possible in the
maske ve
past
koruyucu
19
malzeme
years.
kavgası verirken
Even
biz daha
though
çok
some countries were
ihtiyaçlarımızı
trying to get
karşılayabildik.
access to
Bu
masks and
sayede
other equipment,
üretim ve
we
dağıtım
we
zincirleri
were
çökerek
able to meet all
insanlar
of our
temel
needs.
ihtiyaç maddelerine
The
bile
distribution
erişmekte
chains
güçlük
collapsed
çekerken
and people had
biz
difficulty in
hiçbir
accessing
sıkıntı
some
yaşamadık.
basic needs, but we
Bu
did not
sayede
experience any
dünyadaki pek çok
challenges.
yerde
And
devletlerle
for this
vatandaşları
reason,
arasında
in many
güven
parts
bunalımları
of the world, there
yaşanırken
were
biz
trust problems
hedeflerimize doğru
between
yürümeyi
states and their
başardık.
citizens, but despite
Sadece
this, we were able to
finans gücüyle
continue uh,
böylesine büyük ve
making progress
derin
towards our
krizlerin
targets.
aşılamayacağını,
Only
büyük
through finance
ekonomilere
such
sahip
deep and
ülkelerin
comprehensive
durumu
crises
açıkça
cannot be
ortaya
overcome,
koyuyor.
as exemplified
Sonuçta
by countries
ortaya
with
çıkan
big
tablo
budgets. So
ülke ve
the
millet
picture
olarak
that
sahip
emerges shows
bulunduğumuz
us
potansiyeli
the potential
siyasi ve
that we own
ekonomik her
as a
alanda
country and as a
harekete
nation,
geçirebilmemize imkan
and
verecek bir zeminin
is
varlığına işaret ediyor.
pointing out to the
Bir
existence
yandan
of
salgınla
grounds where we
mücadeleyi
can utilize this
kesintisiz şekilde
potential.
devam
On the one
ettirirken
hand, we
daha
continue the
büyük
fight
bir azim
against
ve
the pandemic
kararlılıkla da
without
buradaki
interruption,
fırsatları
and with
değerlendirmenin
more
gayreti içindeyiz.
dedication, we are also
Sağlık
trying to
hizmetlerinde
seize these
herhangi bir
opportunities.
krize
In
asla
health
izin vermedik,
services, we never
vermeyeceğiz.
allowed any type of crisis,
Vaka,
and we never
hastaneye
would.
yatış,
In
yoğun
terms
bakım
of cases,
ve vefat
hospitalization,
sayıları
intense
kontrol
care units,
edebileceğimiz
and
bir seviyeye
death
getirdik. İnşallah
numbers,
bunları daha da aşağı
mortality
indireceğiz.
numbers are at a controllable level, but we will
Özellikle
hopefully still
hastanelerde sunulan
decrease these
hizmetlerde
figures. When it comes to
elbette bazı
services
aksaklıklar,
offered in hospitals,
gecikmeler
of course, there have been
yaşanabilmektedir.
some
İnşallah
mishaps
bunların
or
önüne
some
geçecek
delays, and
tedbirlere
hopefully,
en kısa
with the
sürede
measures that we
alacağız.
are going to take
Sanayi
soon, we will
üretiminde kesintiye
prevent these
meydan
as well.
vermeyecek bir
In
sistemi
agricultural,
salgının ilk
in
günlerinden
industrial
itibaren kurmuştuk.
production, we have
Böylece
established a system
ihracatımızı
from the first days of the
tutmakta
pandemic
kalmadık,
in order not to
çok daha
interrupt the
ileriye
production.
taşıdık.
So our exports
Salgın
actually
tedbirlerinin turizm
increased rather than
ve
decreasing.
ticarette yol açtığı sıkıntıları da
The
normalleşme
pandemic
adımlarıyla
measures
büyük
also
ölçüde
caused some
geride bıraktık.
problems in education
Dedim
and tourism, but with the normalization steps, we
üzerindeki
have
herkesin,
overcome some of
özellikle
these
de
challenges
ileri yaş
as well.
grubundaki
All
vatandaşlarımızın
citizens,
aşılarını olmaları
especially citizens
veya
at higher ages,
tamamlamalarının
should get
salgının
their
ağır
vaccinations,
sonuçlarının
which would
azaltılmasına
help
katkıda
decrease
bulunacağını
the severe results of the pandemic.
okullar açık mı kalacak, kapanacak
Whether
mı
the
tartışması da
schools would be
artık
open or they
sona
would be
ermeli.
closed, that discussion is also
Okullardaki yüz yüze
now
eğitim,
over. The
öğretim
face-to-face
kesinlikle
education in
devam
schools
edecek.
is going to
Bu
continue
vesileyle Sağlık
for
Bakanlığımıza
sure, and on this
40 bin
occasion,
yeni sağlık personeli milletimizle
40,000 new healthcare professionals will
salgını
be recruited
ülkemizin
by the
gündeminden
Ministry of
tamamen çıkartana
Health.
kadar
Until the
mücadelemiz
pandemic
sürdürülüyor.
is out of our country's
Kapanma
agenda, for
dönemlerinde
certain, we will
verdiğimiz
continue
kapsamlı ve
our fight. We have given comprehensive and relevant aid during the pandemic in order to help our citizens in need and economic players in a way that they did not have problems that could not be compensated for. In order to prevent youth unemployment, we have opened 87 vocational training centers in the 250 organized industrial zones. Another 160 vocational technical training centers are being planned, and hopefully they will be opened in January, which means in increasing employment we will be fulfilling another commitment that we have made to our nation. In investment, production, export, and employment, in our economy policy, without compromising on the budget discipline, we will continue supporting every step that can grow our country. This year, our electricity need increased by 80%, but thanks to the measures and thanks to the investment that we made, we were able to meet this need without allowing for any shortages. In Europe, for my nation who are watching us in front of their screens, in Europe, the natural gas prices was at $115 at the beginning of 2020, but by last month it reached $1,100 or even $1,500 in the daily markets. But on the other hand, for our citizens in our country, the natural gas that is consumed at households is still priced at $150, and the figures are very clear and very evident. Compared to our purchasing price, we are offering natural gas to households at a 76% discount with a subsidy of $50 billion. And similarly, oil prices used to be at $42 at the beginning of 2020, and they have increased to $80. Coal likewise increased from $50 to $270. We have forfeited 60 billion of taxes in order to keep the gas prices at a balance. Despite all these price increases globally, this year electricity is offered at almost half of its cost to our citizens, so that a 17 billion liras of government subsidy is used. So in 2021, our citizens didn't pay an additional 127 billion liras for these costs. In other words, more than 1,500 liras of energy support has been extended to each of our citizens. In the future, in electricity bills, the TRT share and the energy fund shares will also be abolished. The balances of energy players will not be disrupted, and our citizens will not be victimized in our managing of this global energy crisis. And the financial fluctuations, on the other hand, this will be a year where we see the results of the steps that we took in the building of a big and strong Turkey. The 2023 will be the next step, and once we leave that step behind, we will assume our position at the top of the economic league of the world. As we always say, Turkey's biggest strength is the unity and brotherhood of our nation, and the perseverance and the dedication of our nation. Of course, we are not the only ones who see this fact, but our enemies are aware of this as well. Recently, lies, slander, threats, and double standards are used both inside and outside our borders, and the reason for this increase is this very picture. Until today, terror attacks to coup plans, every kind of insidious plan was not allowed to hurt this strength, and hopefully in the upcoming process, with the help of God, we will have the same level of success. There are those who believed Turkey was a country that they could push around as they wish, or like one of their colonies, which they could steal the energy and time of, and those who try to help them, their plans will be failed, and it's our duty to do so. With the change of administration, political instability, and with the leaps in infrastructure and development, with the economic development, and Turkey closed the time of coups with the 15th of July, and nobody has the power to cut off Turkey. With new investments and projects, we have brought our country in the past 19 years to the current level that it has, and again it will be us who brings Turkey to the 2023 targets and the 2053 vision that we will leave behind for the youth. For this reason, as the People's Alliance, in the parliament, in the cabinet, in the government, we are working day and night. But recently, the so-called second biggest political party of this country has started acting as a threat to our national security because of the incoherences that they display, which are worrying for us. Last week, for the military cross-border operation, the bill was discussed, and these discussions have increased our worries. Turkey's cross-border operations is an issue that is above politics. In the past, they have voted in favor of this bill multiple times, but this time, like a foreign troop, they have used such arguments which are like a treachery to the nation, and it's obvious that they're getting their instructions from somewhere else. If not so, no political party or no politician can contradict itself so much and can discuss such an issue of national security with such a low discourse. But opposing this bill was important in terms of fighting against the elements of the terror group which are outside our borders, which were bravely fought and weakened by the bravery of our troops. Again, opposing this bill meant siding with the project of surrounding Turkey from the southern border. Again, opposing this bill was coming in the order of the divisive terror group, because since the first day, the political party which always this was the group which always objected the bills at the parliament, and this second biggest political party of Turkey is being controlled by this terror group, and this worries us in the name of Turkish politics. In the last elections, with some hidden and open partnerships, some units in some municipalities were given to the control of this political party, as is known by everyone. Now, such partnerships have extended all the way to the issues of national security of the country, and this is a sign that it is not only
Tabii
about
meclise
political partnership anymore.
Irak ve Suriye
Of course,
tezkerelerine
in the
hayır
parliament,
demelerini yalan ve
they
iftiralarla,
are saying
rezil
no
nutuklarla
to the
savunanların
memorandum for
Yozgat'a gidince
the operations
Kandil'i
in the
yakıp
parliament,
yıkmaktan
but
söz
when they
etmeleri
go
de
to the Yozgat
bir başka
province, they talk
omurgasızlık
about
örneği.
burning down the Kandil
Nerede
mountain,
neyi
which is another
konuşacaklarını da
sign of incoherence, and they know quite
kamu
well what to
görevlilerini
say
tehdit
at what
etmeyi
location.
alışkanlık
They
haline
have
getiren
turned it into a
ancak kendi
habit to
partisindeki
threaten public
hırsızlık,
officers, but they
taciz,
turn a blind eye
tecavüz
to the thefts,
hadiselerinin hepsinin de
harassment, and
üstüne
rape
örten
inside their
zehirli
own political
siyasetlerini en
party. This
başta
is
bu
a
üslubu
venomous
benimseyenler için
political
tehlikeli
discourse,
olur.
which is dangerous for the
Mecliste
very
tezkereye
people
hayır
who
demekle kalmayın.
adopt such a discourse. They
Egemenlik
not only say
haklarımıza
no
saygı
to the
göstermeyen
bill
büyükelçilere
at the
verilen
parliament,
tepkiye
but
destek olmayın.
they do not give support
Kamuoyunu
to
Kanal İstanbul
the
projesini
reaction to the
yabancı
ambassadors. On the
büyükelçilere
other hand,
şikayet edecek
they
kadar
claim the Canal
umut
Istanbul
kaybı yaşayan bu
project to
zihniyete
foreign ambassadors
milletimiz
because they
ülkenin
have
kaderini
entirely
asla
lost
emanet
their
etmez.
conscience
Bu
and
tablo
lost their
ister
sense,
istemez
and the
aklımıza
nation will not
Ziya
trust the
Paşa'nın
country to this political party.
en
This
ummadığın
reminds
keşf
us
eder esrar-ı derunun
a poem
sen herkesi
by a
kör,
Turkish poet called
alemi
Ziya Pasha,
sen mi sanırsın şeklindeki meşhur
in which he asks, "Do you think everyone else except you is blind or deaf?"
milletimiz
Yes, our
değerlerimize
nation
hakaret etmekten başka
when it
vasıfları olmayan
will not allow this
ağızlarından
political party
çıkan
who only
yalanların artık çetelesiyle
slander,
tutulamıyor.
who only
Her kritik
talk
durumda
about the values
ülkesinin
of our
ısınmalarının
nation,
yanında
and at
saf
every
tutan
critical
bu
issue,
siyaset ve
this
zilyanlarının
political party
gerçek
sides
yüzünü
with the
gayet
enemies of our
iyi
country,
bilir.
and our nation is able to
Türkiye
see
geçmişte
the real
nasıl
faces
tek
now.
parti
Just
faşizmi yendi,
like Turkey
içte
beat the
dış
single
vesayeti
party
üstesinden
fascism in
geldiyse
the past and was able
inşallah
to overcome
çarpık
internal
zihniyeti
and
de
external
tarihin tozlu
tutelage,
raflarına
and hopefully
kaldıracak.
this distorted
Aziz
mentality
milletim,
will be
bir
buried
siyasi
in
partinin
history as well. A
en üst
political
düzey
party's
yöneticisi tarafından
highest level
Bingöl'de şehit yakınına yapılan
leader
edepsizliği de aynı
also
alçak zihniyetin farklı bir tezahürü olarak kabul ediyor.
displayed such disgracious behavior to a brother of a martyr in Bingöl. So let's see what happened in Bingöl province by looking at the perpetuator in his history, and let's see who he was.
Operasyonlarda örgüte arka çıktı.
Bankasya'ya destek olmak bugün Türkiye'de yaşayan her vatandaşın görevi. Ekrem Dumanlı'nın terörist olduğu yerde ben baş terörist olmaya hazırım.
Ben buradan ilan ediyorum. Bu terör örgütünün üyesi de benim arkadaşım.
Çiftliğini ve fabrikalarını kamu arazileri üzerine kaçak olarak kurdu. Devlet arazilerini gasp etti, kaçak çiftliğini haberleştirmek isteyen gazeteciyi darp ettirdi, ekipmanlarını kullanılamaz hale getirdi. Kamu bankalarından aldığı krediyi ödemeyerek milletin parasına çöktü. Şehit babası hakkında saygısızca ifadeler kullandı. Sosyal medyada kendisini eleştiren vatandaşlara özel mesaj atarak hakaret etti. Son olarak partisinin Bingöl'deki bir programında kendisine tepki gösteren şehit yakınına galiz küfürler etti.
HDP'yi Selo'yu savunan bir kadın bu. Tamam mı? Evet, bu savunuyor. Kahvaltıya gidiyordu. Evet. Sen nasıl bana küfür ediyorsun?
Önce inkar etti, sonra hakaret ettiğini kabul etmek zorunda kaldı.
Kötü sözler söylemiş.
Recommandation. Emş bütün kajome kendi kefot yani müşkil yani mecbur yani özür kuzwazen ve ina yani xo erza Allah goyu özür kuzwazen ve ina bütün aileler ve özür kuzwazen hama ma yafki zema yafniki.
Aziz şehitlerimizin yakınlarına laf söylemeye cüret eden milletin vekil diye meclise yolladığı Lütfü Türkan'ı şiddetle kınıyoruz.
Sürekli olarak milliyetçilikten ve etikten bahseden İyi Parti, Lütfü Türkan ve benzerlerine karşı sessiz kalarak milli ve manevi değerlerimizle bir bağının olmadığını her fırsatta ortaya koyuyor.
Evet. Gördüğünüz gibi neresinden tutsanız rezillik.
As you can see,
Neresinden tutsanız terbiyesizlik,
It is lack of it's indecency and lack of respect,
neresinden tutsanız
and
alçaklık
it is
olan
vile
skandalla
and disgraceful
karşı
in every aspect, and it's a
kardeşinin
scandal that we are
bedeni
facing.
PKK terör örgütü
This man's
tarafından
brother's
paramparça
young
edilen
body
bir şehit
was
yakınının
shattered
feryadını
by
onun namusuna,
the divisive terror group,
bacısına
and
en ağır
he
hakaretleri,
used the
küfürleri yaparak
most disgracious curses
her
against
şeyi
his
bir kenara
sister,
bıraktı,
and this is
insanlığa sığmaz.
not humanity. This doesn't fit
Bu kişi ve
humanity
avalisi
or decency.
önce yapılan
And this
rezilliği
person
inkar
and
etmeye,
his entourage
hatta
first
şehit
tried to
yakınını suçlamaya çalıştılar.
reject
Sonra her
the
şey
scandal, and they
belgesiyle
tried to
ortaya
blame
konunca
the brother of the
kabul etmek
martyr.
zorunda kaldı.
And when everything surfaced with
Şehitlik makamının
proof,
değerini
he had
kavrayamamış
to
olmanın
confess.
ötesinde
He hasn't
insanlıktan
perceived
da
the
nasibini
significance
almamış bu
of the
siyasetçi Müslüm
martyrdom,
Kesin'in
and he
milletvekili
doesn't have
sıfatını da
human
o
decency,
kutlu çatının
and
altında
he
bir
doesn't
dakika
deserve
bile
to be a
durmaya
member of
hakkı
the
yok.
parliament, and he doesn't have to right to spend another
Partimin
second under that
grup başkan
roof.
vekilliğinden
He
veya
was
genel
the
başkan yardımcılığından
deputy leader of the.
ayrılması bu iş için bir
It is
çıkış yolu,
not a way out for him to leave his
Artık
positions inside the
sözde
party.
milletvekili olan bu
This
kişinin
so-called member of the parliament
parlamento çatısı altında yerinin olmaması lazım.
should have no place
Halbuki
under the roof of the
başında
parliament.
bir bayan genel başkanın olduğu bu
And
partide
this political party is led
bir
by
şehidimizin
a female
bacısına
leader,
küfredilmesi karşısında
and as the sister of a martyr
bayanın
is cursed, the
buna tahammül
general
etmesi
president of this
kesinlikle
political party, who's a
zaten
lady, should
partisinden
not
ihraç
tolerate this act and should expel
bu
this
olması gerekiyor.
person from the political
Ama ne
party.
yazık ki
This should be the
neymiş?
stance, but unfortunately,
Başkan yardımcılığından ihraç etmişler.
they are saying that they
Ne aldatıyorsunuz ya?
no longer allow him to be the deputy chairperson of the party. But what are you talking
Benzer
about?
pek çok edepsizliklerle dolu
His
bu siyasetçi
the past
müsveddesini
is full of
ısrarla el
many
üstünde tutanların
similar
sorumluluğu
vulgarities,
buradaki
and
görüntünün failinden daha az değil.
the responsibility of the party leadership is no
Bir
less
kamu
than
bankası olan
the perpetrator
Ziraat
of this
Bankası'na
act.
36 milyon dolar
He
şu anda borcu olan
owes $36 million to the Ziraat Bank, which is a public bank, and this person has not been able to pay off this debt yet. And in Kocaeli, as you know, he is
yine devlete ait arazileri işgal
he has
etmiş
again
ve
occupied
bu işgal
land
sebebiyle
that
de
belongs to
çok
the
ciddi
state, and
orada sıkıntılar
because of
yaşadı.
this occupation he has encountered
Bizim inancımızda
problems earlier
ve
in our
kültürümüzde
culture
her
and our
birimizin annesi,
faith. All of our
bacısı,
mothers, our
eşi,
sisters,
kız
our
evladı,
wives
herhangi
and
bir
daughters
birey olmanın ötesinde
are not only
değere ve
any individual,
dokunulmazlığa
but they
sahip.
have value beyond
Partinin başındaki
that of
hanımefendi,
any individual. The
şehitlik
lady
makamına,
who's chairing the
yakınına,
E Party,
milli ve manevi
the good party,
değerlerimize kıymet vermiyorsa,
if she does not value the family members of
yönelik bu ağır hakarete
the martyr, she should at
Şimdi
least
buradan
react to this
kadın
indecency
STK'lara sesleniyorum.
towards another woman.
Peki,
Now I also call out
ey
to
kadın STK'lar,
women's NGOs.
ne iş yapıyorsunuz?
What job do you do?
İlla sizin örgütünüze ait
Does it have to be
bir bayana
a lady who is
kadına
in your organization?
küfredilirse, hakaret edilirse,
Only when she
o zaman mı ayağa kalkıyorsunuz?
is cursed? Is that
Bir şehidimizin
do you only
bacısına
react then?
küfredildiği zaman,
What if
hakaret
this sister
edildiği
of
zaman
a martyr
niçin
is
sokaklara
cursed?
dökülmüyorsunuz?
Why do you not take to the streets
Neden
when
bunun
this
hesabını sormak
happens?
için
Why do you not
yollara çıkmıyorsunuz?
go out to the streets to bring this
İlgili,
issue to
ilgisiz,
the question?
her konuda
on every issue, whether relevant or irrelevant, you try to create turmoil in the name of women's rights, but when there is such a disgraceful attack, such a swearing to the sister of a martyr, why are you silent? The head of the chairman of the main opposition party only 2 days ago was talking about women's rights and was talking about violence against women, or the profanity against our women. So what is this then? What about this attack towards the sister of a martyr? Until when will you ignore such an attack, such an abuse? You claim to defend women's rights. What about the chair people or politicians or NGO representatives who used to wear the same masks, same colored masks in the parliament? None of them are by not acting against this person, they are claiming that their ultimate goal was something else. Whoever in this country makes another sentence, including the Istanbul Agreement, they should be reacted against by the women because they're abusing them for their distorted agendas. On the other hand, those who, the CHP who always talks about the rights of women or martyrs, not the chairman, but at no level there was no reaction shown, which is again a proof of the shady plans that are made behind closed doors. At every occasion that they find, they try to abuse martyrs and their families, but their real face has been demonstrated by what happened in Bingöl province. Throughout their lives, they do not have any single work to the benefit of the nation, or they do not have any projects or services for our country. But even by making plans to come to power, this shows how indecent or how arrogant they could become. May God protect our country and our nation from the evil of this dirty mentality. We will continue the indecency that occurred in Bingöl to the end, and in order for this person to pay the heaviest price, we will use all political and legal means. When it comes to discourse, they talk about nationalism. They even call their own alliance the nation's alliance, but the way they really see the nation can be seen by such examples. The PKK terror group has almost been eliminated inside our borders, and we continue chasing them outside our borders, but their political extensions and those who work with them, we will continue exposing them to our nation. Those who make this dirty alliance are unable to see one thing. With the foresight, our nation has the reason to see every such plan. In near history, in the Gezi incidents or the coup attempt of FETÖ, or in PKK or Daesh attacks, or in the project of surrounding our southern borders, we have always seen the beauty of this blessed will of our nation, and we will continue complying with it. Today is the anniversary of Azerbaijan's liberation of Karabakh and its land under occupation after a glorious war of 44 days. Today is the first anniversary. In the in front of the eyes of the international community. This continued for 44 days, and I congratulate my brother, President Aliyev, and all of our brothers and sisters from Azerbaijan for this victory. Karabakh and Azerbaijani land was seized, it was occupied illegally, and those who kept silent for 3 decades are the head responsible ones for the tragedies and the bloodshed in the region. The war ended with victory of Azerbaijan, and it started with Armenia's attack on 27th of September. During the occupation years, Armenia was weaponized and encouraged consciously, and it had previously breached the ceasefires before. This time, as Turkey, we supported in a much stronger way our Azerbaijani brothers who were fighting to protect their own land. As the conflicts continued with the interventions of some countries, ceasefires were declared but Armenia breached them on every occasion. But thanks to the bravery of our Azerbaijani brothers, they were defeated. We congratulate everyone who contributed to this victory, and we wish God's blessings for the martyrs and a long and healthy life to the survivors, to the veterans. After the victory, Azerbaijan, in order to clear the marks of 30 years of suffering in the occupied land, has initiated reconstruction efforts. In Fuzuli, an international airport has been built recently, and on the occasion of the opening of this, we have supported our Azerbaijani brothers and sisters with their reconstruction efforts. Again, mined areas have been cleared of are being cleared of mines so that they could be used for economy, and we are giving support to Azerbaijani brothers. Again, at the Zengezur corridor, and when it comes to taking back in other issues, about taking back their rights, on every issue we continue siding with our Azerbaijani brothers. Karabakh and the previously occupied Azerbaijani land has been liberated, which is important enough to be the turning point of a new period in the Caucasus. This new period can also help save Armenia from what it limited itself to over the previous decades. Unless they have direct hatred to our country and our nation, we don't have problems that we cannot solve with any party. In terms of politics and economy, Caucasus is the most prosperous place in the world. It has a human and economy richnesses, and those should be used for the peace and prosperity for everyone who lives there. In the new global system, Caucasus will enjoy increasing strategic significance. We have a deep history and cultural links to this geography, and for its bright future, as Turkey, we are dedicated to do our part. On Friday, the Turkey Council will gather in Istanbul, and with other sister countries, we will discuss our shared future in great detail. The Council's institutional capacity will be strengthened in line with its mission. With member and observing countries, we are happy to see that we agree on almost every single issue. The 98th anniversary of the foundation of our republic was celebrated with projects that suit our country and our nation. On 28th of October, in the previous Hippodrome area in Ankara, we have built the Başkent Nations Garden Park, which we inaugurated on 28th. Indeed, it is an important project which fits our capital, and already it has become a very frequently visited place by the residents of Ankara. As the People's Alliance with Mr. Devlet Bahçeli, we have carried out this opening and we have opened it to all Ankara residents. On 29th of October, which is the Republic Day, we have inaugurated the new Atatürk Cultural Center in Istanbul, again with the participation of Mr. Bahçeli and other figures with a memorable ceremony. On the same day, we have initiated the Beyoğlu Culture Path Festival, which has already become an important event. The Ümraniye Hekimbaşı Nations Garden was again another project that we officially opened last week. As you can see, together with other areas of service in culture, environment, and arts, we are doing our best for our country to take the position that it deserves. Since the day we came to office, even though we couldn't make the progress that we desired in culture, in order to give it the frame that it deserves, we have taken many steps. We have increased the support given to cultural activities. Art and culture centers have been opened on different corners of our country, both at the level of central government and local administration. We have supported artists. We have enabled scientific research about Turkish music, and to raise world-scale artists, we have opened a music university in Ankara. In Istanbul, we have opened primary, middle, and high schools for music. Of course, as we will continue giving every kind of support to boost arts and culture, but this land and our people have a great know-how which will be carried to future generations with our culture and art experts, and we do not allow the ignorance of tradition in the name of modernity, or turning a blind eye to modernity in the name of tradition. We reject both of these. The wealth of our tradition can be re-expressed with the contemporary language. In Turkish, the word for tradition comes from the new coming edition, which means we take what we have taken over and we add to it to carry to the future, and with that, tradition is no longer history, but it becomes a living and continuing body. For this reason, our artists, musicians, painters, our calligraphers, our actors, directors, our architects have a very historic duty to fulfill. Our artists should not should put aside the fake hierarchies of the Eurocentric or US-centric impositions, but should create a more pluralistic and more embracing arts and culture climate. For this reason, the clean breath and warm spirit of the Anatolian culture, Anatolian wisdom, should be conducted, carried over to our people by our artists. Such an art and culture philosophy which has its basis on our culture and opens itself to the rest of the world, the artists that we need can give us a new climate in which the old is not ignored just for being old, or the new is not cherished only for sake of being new. And our culture, people, and our artists can, with this understanding, help us march from past to the future with our language, our geography, our poetry, and our architecture, with everything that makes us who we are, with the civilization values that we own. We do have this skill and this possibility. East and West, tradition and modernity, and a glorious history and a dynamic present meet here, and we need new, productive and multidimensional works. We should not ignore our own voice, and we should not turn a blind eye to others' voices. We do not allow our light to go out, or we should not close our eyes to other lights. We should not ignore our own language, or we do not prevent anybody else from speaking. As we do so, we can remain as ourselves, and we can continuously renew ourselves, and just like our ancestors, we can become light and shed light on the rest of the world.
Hoca Ahmet Yesevi, Yunus, Mevlana,
Ahmet Yesevi, Yunus Emre, Mevlana Rumi, and Hacı Bektaş Veli are people that we can take examples in clearing our spirits and working to manifest the beauty in our spirits. Mimar Sinan, Mustafa İzzet, Ütri, Dede Efendi, Tamburi Cemil Bey are some important artists of our past. We can listen to their call, and we can make an effort to make the world more beautiful. Karacaoğlan, Pir Sultan Abdal, Aşık Veysel, and Neşet Ertaş are important people of the heart. We can link the bridges that they established from heart to heart, and we can try to understand the meaning of being human. Mehmet Akif, Necip Fazıl, Nazım Hikmet, and Yahya Kemal are some poets, and we can draw strength from their wealthy words, and we can increase the speed of our walk. We are not sitting idly at the gates of such a big wealth. We cannot allow ourselves to do so. What we should first do is to first perceive the value of this treasure and to strengthen it and enrich it with new works. In the past 19 years in arts and culture, we have taken many steps with this feeling. At the presidential complex, we give out arts and culture awards, which we handle with the same approach. Also, on this occasion, the presidential 2021 Arts and Culture Grand Awards will be awarded to the names that I'm going to announce now. In Science and Culture, Teoman Duralı. In Music, İdil Biret. In Visual Arts, Alev Ebu Ziya. In Cinema, Cüneyt Arkın. In Literature, Gürbüz Azak. In Calligraphy, Ethem Çalışkan. In Bookkeeping, İbrahim Manav. In Loyalty, Fidelity Award, Kemal Tahir. Next month, we will be handing out awards to these important names, and I congratulate them on behalf of my nation. With such sentiments, once again, I greet all of you with my best regards.